there it goes.
In the vast Alaska region, where pine forests cover the snowy foothills, and the deserted roads are shrouded in mist, black bears have become the wild animals that have the strongest influence on human life. They are present everywhere, from the remote mountain slopes to the dense forests on the outskirts of the city. Black bears wander in search of seasonal food, and because of their large numbers and wide range of movement, they often come close to where people live, especially the small wooden houses located right on the edge of the forest. Alaska, the largest and most untouched land in the United States, where the taiga forest, snowy mountains and remote islands create an ideal habitat for black bears. The state currently has about 100,000 individuals, the largest number in the entire United States. In some places, the density is astonishing. Like Kuyu Island, there were 1,019 recorded, equivalent to 1.51 per km squared, a density rarely seen in the wild. And it does have an impact. The impact is clear. When food sources change with the seasons, black bears travel long distances. Sometimes they get close to residential areas. They break doors, smash windows, and ransack homes in their quest to make a living. Each such incident can cost people between $8,000 and $30,000. Not a small number for communities living in the mountains.
Hey, buddy.
Across North America, between 1,900 and 2009, there were 63 recorded deaths in 59 incidents involving wild black bears. Those numbers remind us that Alaska is vast. Humans and black bears are still finding ways to coexist in a world they both call home. What do you think is driving black bears closer to humans than ever before? Comment your thoughts and subscribe to the channel to discuss. According to ADF and G, black bears in Alaska are widely distributed in forest and mountain areas, from sea level up to high temperate zones. After a long and cold winter hibernation, they wake up in the spring hungry, forced to wander the forest to find a quick source of energy. The hungrier they are, the more reckless they become, and that is when they are more likely to move closer to human settlements, where the smell of food from trash cans or kitchens can lure them step by step. but in the fall, survival instincts push bears to be more active. They must accumulate a lot of fat to survive the winter. They should move widely, dig, break doors, even attack when they feel threatened.
Goodness. Oh my gosh.
Meanwhile, the reproductive rate of black bears is quite regular. Every 2 years, a mother can give birth to 2 to 4 cubs, causing the bear population to increase steadily and increasingly approach the living boundary of humans. Therefore, black bear hunting is allowed by the government and local authorities, but always under strict supervision. The goal is not to destroy, but to control. The bear hunting season usually lasts for several months, and is divided into 2 main periods in spring and autumn. The time can start from around April and end in late autumn, in order to suit the natural conditions and reproductive habits of bears. In addition, each hunter is only allowed to hunt a limited number of bears in each season. Usually, very few, in order to maintain the stability of the population and avoid the risk of excessive decline. The goal of wildlife management and the long-term conservation of bears.
Holy. I don't know if this is it. Okay. 1, 2, 1 in.
Oh, there it goes. What the what?
Let's go now. Damn.
Alaska's terrain is famous for its harshness. Dawn. The space is quiet. The Alaskan forest is covered in a thin mist. The hunter walks slowly. His breath melts into the cold of the morning. He wears camouflage, deep into the forest with absolute caution, because even the slightest noise can make the bear disappear without a trace. The bear's footprints are clearly visible. He stops. In the distance, the eagle's cry echoes. The forest is silent. The wind is very cold. Every sound seems to remind that nature is the master of this place.
Got him, got him.
Then he saw it. A large bear was walking beside the stream. Slow but powerful, he held his breath. His heart pounded. The shot rang out. The bear collapsed. The shot would be quick, clean, and accurate. He understood that the hunt was not just a shot. It was a struggle for survival between man and nature, where every choice carried respect and responsibility for the wild power of Alaska. In addition, hunters also use professional hunting dogs to track the bears. When the sky is still foggy, The hunter releases the dogs into the forest. Let them follow the scent of the bear on the wet ground. A bark is heard, signaling that the direction has been determined. The hunter immediately moves forward. Quick steps, but still cautious. The chase continues through the bushes. The pack of dogs gradually force the bear into a narrow forest. The bear roared, very fiercely. A shot rang out, clean, fast. And the fierce chase between humans, hunting dogs, and wild nature ended in the heavy sigh of relief of the Alaskan mountains. Why did bears have to become human hunting targets? Is it because humans have interfered too deeply with the bear's habitat? We exploit forests, expand farmland, gradually narrow the wild areas that belong to them, forcing bears to leave their habitats and move closer to human settlements.
No way, buddy. No way.
When the environment is narrowed and the balance is broken, bears are forced to struggle to survive amidst the harsh changes created by humans.
He's cornered too much.
In the fall, when the leaves are crispy under the footstep, each hunt is like a game between humans and darkness. The rustling of the forest mixed with the breathing of the hunter and the prey, causing all senses to stretch like a string. But then winter struck the snow covered with white mountains, the breeze, and everything changed. The hunt is not only a chase, but also a survival battle between people, nature, and the cruel cold to suffocate. Each season is a new battlefield, never repeating. Rain, sunshine, wind, or snow all shape the battle between people and wild animals. Every day passed, the terrain changed, but the mission remained unchanged, preventing the destructive beast before they turned this land into ashes. In the game of survival, there is no room for mistakes, only the bravery, speed, and will of those who dare to stand up against the intense nature. If you are also passionate about hunting, subscribe to the channel now to explore the most intense hunting trips. Today, let us enter that death. Hunting has never been easy, for each shot to be a result of hours waiting, observing and holding breath in the deep forest. Only a small mistake, the prey will disappear and the hunter becomes a hunter. It is not only a gun battle, but a silent battle between human patience and nature. The forest is not tolerant. It taught us the lesson of respect and humility. Just one step of slipping, a crispy dry leaf, everything disappeared, the animals disappearing like ghosts in the mist. But then, when the breath was rushing, the heart beats hard in the chest, that fateful moment finally came. The forest was covered in a thick blanket of snow, terrifyingly silent. The trees are bare, standing tall like ghosts in the cold grey sky. From afar, the sound of crumbling snow rang out, with heavy, steady rhythms as the herd of wild boars was approaching. Unbeknownst to them, there were eyes watching from the darkness. The hunter held his breath, his hand tightened on the gun, his heart beating loudly. The light of the pig's tusks flashed in the white snow, and he knew the moment of life and death had come. Amidst the cold white snow background, the taciturn shadows of the wild boars appear significantly, each moving like live balls. Then, the gunfire resounded, tearing the silence. The two children collapsed, bloody blood fluttering in the snow, while the rest panicked and fled, disappearing into the deep forest. But before I could breathe, the ground shook. Since the grey trees, a giant wild boar rushed out, his red eyes, the fierce roar rang. My heart has a living instinct and fear of harming one. There is no time to hesitate. Boom! The bullet hissed, tearing the cold air, stuck straight into the animal's forehead. The explosion echoed in the middle of the forest, and only a beat later, the giant body collapsed into the snow, leaving a streak of red blood like a cut on pure white background. From afar, the yellow hare hunting dog rushed, barking, eyes glowed in the icy breath. Its barking is not only a signal, but a signal of a victory that makes my heart tremble between the tension and the pride of the survivor. Boom! The rifle ripped the quiet curtain. The beast stopped, staggered and collapsed, disappearing in the vast white space as if the winter storm was invisible. On the opposite flank, Thomas closed the plan as planned. Rugged mountain slopes, sharp stones like knives, slippery steep slopes, dark cracks where wild boars often burrowed deep in the bushes, hidden until the last minute. The whole space held her breath. Only the heart rate and discipline maintained the initiative of the hunting team. When Thomas stepped up, the snow in front of him suddenly shook. From the bush, a giant wild boar rushed out like an arrow, tearing the quiet atmosphere. The roar echoed between the mountains and the rocks splashed, but Thomas did not flinch. "10 years of experience forging him reflexes as instinct. Only in an instant, he raised the gun. The steel barrel sparkled in the snow, ready to face the life of life and death before his eyes. The rifle was raised, the cold steel light reflected in white snow. Thomas took a deep breath, watching the state. The gunfire resounded. The beast collapsed in the middle of the slope, rolled down, leaving a red blood streak on the pristine snow. When mentioning Australia, people often imagine vast grasslands, sun-baked deserts, and majestic wildlife. But few people know that behind that beauty is one of the world's most severe wildlife crises. Wild rabbits, wild cats, red foxes, wild boars are scary enough, but wild camels are the most terrible threat, devastating the environment and economy. Could this seemingly harmless animal become Australia's #1 invader? In the 19th century, camels were brought to Australia as living transport machines, struggling to cross the dry desert and opening the way for inland exploration. But then times changed, trains and trucks appeared, and the camels were abandoned and set free in the desert. No longer bound, they multiplied like wildfire, turning from allies into fearsome invaders, spreading fear across this arid continent. Today, the wild camel population in Australia has exceeded 1.3 million, and if left unchecked, they can double every 9 years like a breeding storm. This expansion had dire consequences. More than 80% of the vegetation in many areas was wiped out. Native plants gradually disappeared, and indigenous people lost the traditional food sources that had sustained them for thousands of years. Not only sweeping away vegetation, giant herds of camels also monopolize water holes, wetlands and streams, rare lifelines in the arid desert. They destroy pasture fences, knock down water columns, and damage infrastructure that is the backbone of livestock farmers' survival. Faced with that danger, the Australian government was forced to make a decision to list wild camels as pests in need of urgent control, and to launch strong measures.
Good shot.
That's putting him down. Good going, boys. Oh, good shot.
The most direct and drastic solution: license hunters to hunt camels during the day, right in the middle of the burning desert. Each resounding gunshot, each heavy footstep on the hot sand signaled that the life and death battle with the giant invasive species had officially begun. Go back, we'll load, ready. A hunter's voice rang out across the parched air. Fire clear, load, stand by. Another man quickly circled around, eyes fixed on the camel's back, as wide as a plank in the desert. Camel herds gather in chaotic crowds, dust flying everywhere. Among the myriad of management measures, daytime hunting with guns has become the most popular option, both feasible and effective, making hunters the last line of defense against the threat of encroachment. These raids are usually undertaken by professional hunting teams, sometimes accompanied by licensed hunters. They carry high-powered rifles, powerful enough to take down a full-grown camel with just one fatal shot, quickly ending the animal's suffering. Daytime is chosen as the golden time, when the light clearly exposes every silhouette on the desert, helping hunters lock onto their targets with deadly accuracy. From hillsides and observation posts, shooters monitor the camels like commanders, watching every little movement through their scopes. They select the individuals to eliminate precisely, minimizing the risk of misfire and avoiding unnecessary injuries. During the day, when everything is clear under the sunlight, the hunting team coordinates radio and hand signals, dividing the area into dozens of square kilometers into an organized tracking network. In this long battle, vision and coordination between the shooters determine the outcome.
Oh, wow. Good shot.
As the rate of fire increased, accuracy began to chip away at the hot barrel. Multiple shots vibrated the trajectory, and things became more chaotic by the minute. So the hunter must consider, shoot accurately or risk a burst. In large-scale operations, helicopters become the eyes of the sky, coordinating smoothly with the ground team, firing from high altitude while guiding the pursuit. The hunt becomes a tactical symphony between heaven and earth, where every decision determines the fate of the prey and the safety of the human. This method allows covering large areas, shortening time and improving efficiency. The hunter must master long-range shooting, calculate the wind, measure the distance, and keep a steady hand. At ranges of 100-300 meters, and sometimes longer, the large caliber rifle and optical sight become allies. Each shot is filled with tension, anxiety, and determination to protect the crop. Across Australia's arid rangelands, more than 1 million feral camels roam, and if left unchecked, that number could double in just 8-10 years in a breeding frenzy. Direct economic losses have exceeded 10 million USD per year, not including control, management costs, and socio-cultural losses. Faced with such a threat, the government and federal projects have had to launch a large-scale management campaign to contain the level of destruction.
Huh?
Camels in Australia usually breed during the rainy season, which is around November to March, when food and water resources are most abundant. Their gestation period is quite long, about 13 months, and each time they usually only give birth to one baby. Although the reproductive rate is not as fast as rabbits or wild pigs, but with a huge population of more than 1 million, if conditions are favourable, the number can double, enough to put terrible pressure on the environment and agriculture. Hunters are forced to take action to control the camel herd's terrifying reproduction rate. On the arid fields, pickup trucks roar as they move, their tyres crushing the hot red sand. The hunter stood firmly behind the truck, rifle loaded, eyes following each giant figure running around. The whistling wind, the roar of the engine, and the pounding of his heart made for a breathless chase in the vast desert. Good shot. A decisive shout rang out. The hunters aimed precisely at the chest or head, each shot ending quickly. With large herds, they coordinated rhythmically, taking down each animal one by one to avoid panicking the whole herd. The hunt ended in heavy gunfire, both a victory and a burden on the shoulders of the land defenders. It sounds easy, but hunting camels in broad daylight is a tough challenge. The desert sun burned the skin, the rugged terrain drained the strength of each step. The camels were not weak at all. They ran fast and persistently like survival machines in the desert. If not killed, the pack will scatter in all directions, turning the hunt into an endless, tiring and dangerous chase.
It's a focus thing.
Not only is each shot difficult, the bigger challenge lies in the sheer size of the camel herds that stretch across the desert. A single raid could last for days, consuming fuel, weapons, and manpower. This pressure forces the government to calculate every penny of the budget, and at the same time call on the community to join hands, because this is not just a hunt, but a fierce battle to regain balance for the entire continent. The giant camel lay face down in the sand, just a few hundred yards away. The hunter tightened his grip on the steering wheel. The car rolled slowly, each wheel grinding the red soil, opening up a vast scene as if painted straight down to the horizon. The moment the fateful bullet rang out, the beast fell, and remorse crept into the hunter's eyes. Allowing camel hunting during the day is not only a temporary solution, but also an important step in limiting the impact of this invasive species.
Good shot.
This activity helps maintain ecological balance and utilizes meat and leather as a source of income. But as the camel population continues to increase, the question is there a more effective and humane way to control them? Do you believe that a small species can change the ecosystem? Subscribe to the channel to follow more fascinating stories about invasive species around the world.
Oh, good shot.
Huh?
Some studies have shown that buffalo numbers in many parts of Australia have doubled or even tripled in just 50 years. According to Nature magazine in 2019, the buffalo population in Kakadu National Park has exploded dramatically from about 160, 2,000 inches, 1,960. It jumped to 1.5 million in 2014.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
The explosion in buffalo numbers not only disrupted local ecosystems, but also left a heavy mark on the global climate. Each buffalo emits methane, a powerful greenhouse gas that contributes directly to climate change. As the buffalo herd grows each year, methane emissions skyrocket like an invisible bomb that heats up the earth faster than ever. Faced with the threat of wild buffalo herds exploding and destroying the environment, Australians are forced to launch strict control measures. It is not just a normal management action, but a war to prevent this giant animal from continuing to sow danger to the global ecosystem and climate. Dawn has just broken over Australia's arid Kimberley Desert, a land famous for its giant herds of buffalo, and the stillness of the space suddenly becomes tense with excitement. In the pale light of early morning, hunters and native farmers gripped their weapons tightly, their eyes fierce. They were ready for a dangerous hunt where every step contained unpredictable danger. After hours of weaving through scorching sand dunes and tangled underbrush, they finally spotted a giant buffalo, more than 40 inches tall, with powerful, curved horns. No one dared to make a move. The experienced hunters immediately applied their knowledge of the terrain and the hunting habits of this wild animal. They quietly approached, calculating each step carefully, always keeping enough distance to avoid a sudden attack that could turn the hunt into a tragedy. The decisive moment finally came. In a split second, precise shots rang out. Power and concentration converged, bringing down the giant buffalo after hours of extreme tension. The atmosphere was filled with both relief and satisfaction of those who had overcome the challenge of life and death. And after each hunt, they share their experiences, skills and emotions, deepening their memories and creating stronger bonds between people, as well as with this harsh land. That is how to maintain spirit and unity in the fight with wild buffalo. To avoid being detected, the hunters must move very quietly, as silent as the night, without any unnecessary noise, because even the slightest mistake is enough to reveal their position. Hunters must coordinate closely with teammates, absolutely avoiding noise or gaps that could alert the buffalo. Patience is the sharpest weapon, silently watching, waiting for the golden moment to strike decisively. Because just one beat slower, the hunter will become prey before the fierce charge of this giant beast. A small mistake can turn the hunter into prey. Do you believe that? Comment your thoughts below. In the heat of a hunt, every little detail can mean the difference between safety and comfort. Each rifle shot is thunderous, reaching 140 decibels, enough to permanently damage hearing. Therefore, noise-cancelling headphones become a silent shield, protecting the hunter's ears from invisible damage. Not only do they prevent damage, they also help them stay focused, listen to the breath of nature, and wait for the moment to take down their prey. The sound from the rifle reverberated at a speed of nearly 1,700 meters per second, like thunder tearing through the sky, enough to numb the hunter's ears. Therefore, noise-cancelling headphones are not only a safe choice, but also a vital shield in hunting strategies.
Look at him.
But the day brings a different challenge. The bright light spreads across the wilderness. The sparse vegetation makes the vision seem to be swallowed up. In that moment, the hunter feels every drop of sweat rolling down, eyes straining to search for the prey, where all senses are pushed to the limit. Through binoculars, hunters observe the buffalo herd from a distance, capturing every movement and behavior. This helps them identify targets quickly, saving time and avoiding the risk of being detected by the giant beast. When hunting buffalo in Australia, hunters must have a valid hunting license. This license is usually issued by an Australian government wildlife management agency. Hunting season in Australia usually takes place in winter, from May to August. Hunting licenses have specific regulations on the number of buffalo allowed to hunt, from 100 to 200 per hunting season. These regulations were not created randomly, but were based on rigorous scientific studies of the buffalo boom. However, the wild hunting environment has more than one enemy. Hunters may also encounter other ferocious animals such as lions, the king of the savannah, where just a look is enough to make the blood run cold. In this case, the hunter needs to stay calm, not run away, and use weapons or other means of defense if necessary. From that reality, the hunter understands that entering the wild means entering a real battlefield. They must always carry a sharp knife, wear sturdy protective clothing, and most importantly, know every corner of the terrain and the habits of wild animals. What do you think about this hunt? Leave a comment below the video and subscribe to the channel to join the next hunt. But the story does not end there. Hunting buffalo with guns has sparked fierce debate. Many people object because the loud explosions not only sow fear, but also damage the fragile tranquility of the natural environment. People fear that gunfire causes stress to other species, and that hunting with guns also poses a risk of environmental pollution. The use of guns in hunting has the risk of polluting land and water and negatively affecting the ecosystem. Therefore, the government needs to tighten management and supervision. And you, do you support gun hunting to deal with buffalo in Australia?
You hit him. Just reload. That's a shot.